Argentina have named their squad for the Rugby Championship, which is a bit of good news. Had a bit of a rant yesterday in a video, but I'm feeling a bit happier now that I've seen the squad. To be fair, there's a fair few guys in this squad, which is a large one, 45 players, which I'm not that familiar with. I guess I will call upon some of you guys who are more familiar with these guys to give us more information in the comments if you are happy to do so. The majority would still be that Rugby World Cup squad. There's a few guys on the way out, some of the older guys. The old guard has kind of left, and there's some young players on the way in, seemingly, and the regulars are there as well. I think 32 of these guys are in Uruguay, and then they're going to travel to Australia. The rest are going to come over from Europe, so it's kind of a staggered approach. But yeah, we'll go through the squad. You guys can let me know your thoughts, and we'll see how they go for the Rugby Championship 2020. Now, props, I'm assuming it's these guys. They didn't actually put the squad out by position. Ignacio Calles, this first guy, is a guy I don't know much about. I know he plays for Po. I generally only watch the Champions Cup. I don't watch much top 14. I've seen he can play hooker and loose head. But given they've got, I think, 4 other hookers, I think he's going to play loose head, potentially. Medrano, Pierretto, Sordoni, Teta Chaparro, Vivas. These guys are pretty much your Rugby World Cup squad guys from memory. Wegrizen, I'm sure I butchered the pronunciation, I'm sorry. And Zeiss, I think, yeah, Federico Wegrizen is the only guy who I don't really know. I had to Google him. I think he's played for one of the teams in South America. That's about as much as I know. All the other guys are kind of familiar Pumas, Juarez players, and like I said, the guy Calles plays in France. For hookers, you've got Facundo Bosch, Gonzalez, Montoya, and Socino. I guess the obvious guy you're not seeing there is Augustin Crevi. He is playing in Europe, and I think I read via Google Translate that he's not joining due to personal reasons, so maybe that's an indication that his Pumas days are done. I'm not sure, but Montoya is certainly a very capable replacement. Socino, I think, was in the Rugby World Cup squad as well. The only guy who I wasn't all that familiar with is this guy who's Jose Luis Gonzalez, apparently an under-20s guy. I don't know much about him at all, but the other guys are all pretty familiar, I would say. I think Montoya is probably the starting guy, but we will see what direction the Pumas go. Locks, you've got Alemalo, Callas. Callas is Ignacio as well. Very similar name to this fella here, but slightly different spelling. I don't know much about him, but he's apparently 24 years old and 6'7", so he's a big fella. Paulos and Petty, I think these guys are the out-and-out locks. There's another guy, this guy here, Rodrigo Fernandez Criado, who I don't know much about. I've seen on one site that he plays in the second row. I think he was around about the Juarez squad, but then got moved out to one of the South American teams. And one of the side, ESPN, said he plays flanker, so I'm not sure if he's kind of a lock loose forward. But yeah, either way, he's there as well. And Marcos Crema, quite capable of going second row, back row. Very, very good player. But yeah, Guido Petty is probably going to be your starting guy. Lavanini is the other name, who's probably a pretty obvious omission, but I believe he is injured. Petty, in terms of being an ultimate skill lock, is, as I said, absolutely world class. There's probably not many guys who can steal line-out ball just as well as he can, so he's got amazing hands. He's prone to the odd line break. Very, very tough guy. Paulos and Alemanos tended to be the third guy, and Paulos has been there or thereabouts as well, so I guess there's a fair bit of locking depth there, even without Lavanini. Loose forwards, you've got Bruni, Gonzalez, Gorison, Grondona, Isa, Lezana, Matera, Oviedo. Again, there's a few guys who I'm not that familiar with. Bruni is a pretty familiar face. I think he usually plays number 8. Juan Martin Gonzalez is apparently an under-20s guy. I don't know a lot about him. Gorison is pretty familiar. He's pretty dynamic. Grondonda, I do not know much about. Yep. Issa was one of the surprise omissions from that Rugby World Cup squad. He's absolutely class, so very happy to see him back in Ledesma's good books, I guess. Maybe it's just the fact that they had to pick such a big squad. Lozano obviously been around about the squad for quite some time as well. Pablo Matera, I think he was in 2019, at least in the Super Rugby season, potentially the best player in the competition. He was all over the place. Fantastic stuff. So good to see him there. Oviedo, I believe, is a bit of a youngster. I do not know much about him as well. So it seems to be a bit of a mix of experience and youth there, but certainly a lot of talent amongst those guys, especially Matera. I'm not sure how he's been going in France. As I said, I don't watch a lot of the top 14. I know his team hasn't been doing that well, but I'm not sure how he has been going himself. Scrum-halves, you got Bertrand Kubeli and Escura. I would imagine Escura is the third guy, but you never know. Probably going to be between Kubeli and Bertrand. It's been interesting with the Pumas that for the last few years, they don't seem to have had kind of an established first choice 9. There seem to be a lot of guys get a chance. Injuries has been part of that as well, but yeah, there doesn't seem to have been a definite first choice guy like kind of Aaron Smith's had that job with the All Blacks for some time. Will Guinea had that job. I guess the Wallabies shifted up a bit as well, but like Faf de Klerk is obviously the number one guy. Don't quite have that with the Pumas. Maybe it's Kubeli. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Fly halves, and I'm not sure if Albornoz, I'm not sure if he's going to be fly half given that the other three guys are there. I believe he can play 12 as well, so maybe he's going to be more of a midfielder. I think the only time I've seen him play is when the Juarez 15 played a Georgian 15. They gave them a bit of a hiding. I think he played 10 in that game. Diaz Bonilla for the Juarez has been a mainstay in that season where they made the Super Rugby final. Miotti, up and coming, potentially world-class 10 as well. And then Sanchez, under a bit of a threat maybe, because he's, at least the last time I've seen him play, not been in his best form, but man, I haven't seen him play for a long time. We know he's definitely got a lot of potential also over there in France. Midfielders, Chocobates, De La Fuente, Malia, Orlando, and potentially this guy, is it Kinti or Sinti? I'm not sure. I know he plays sevens. I don't watch sevens virtually at all, which is my own fault, but I know he's a midfielder in sevens, potentially a winger at 15s. I'm not sure. I'll take your insights there, guys. Malia, talented young guy. De La Fuente, one of the most consistent and underrated players, I think, in the world. Chocobates, I think, is still relatively young. Yeah, so Matias Orlando also probably pretty underrated as well. So I think they're pretty well stocked in midfield. The outside backs are pretty exciting. We see some familiar names that have been finally called back as well. There's a few guys who seem to fall out of favour with Ledesma, and we see the return of them this time, which is also good news. Boffelli, great under the high ball, big boot on him, very dangerous attacking runner, strong, one of the best players in the world. Cancellieri and Carreras, both pretty young guys, very useful wingers as well. Cordero and Imhoff are you guys who kind of get called back. Probably good to see them back in the Pumas fold. So they're not lacking for outside batsmen. Maybe that's the strongest area of the team. I'm not sure. Mojano, I think he had a big injury layoff last year. He's that guy that doesn't seem like he's running that fast, but runs amazing lines to just slide past people. Great player. Imhoff obviously scored that try. Racing 92 have had some COVID cases, so I'm not sure if that's going to affect him at all. And Delguy also kind of not the big man, but more the little man, very agile runner as well. Yeah, man, they're absolutely stacked in the outside back. So, yeah. Moroni is unfortunately injured, so he couldn't make it. I mentioned Lavanini's injury. Crevia mentioned is not joined up for personal reasons. There's some other kind of omissions. There's always going to be some omissions. Ortega Decio has not made it. I didn't read that he's injured. I think it's just not made it. Uru Pajeta, given the depth at 10, I don't think that's a huge surprise that he didn't make it. I think it was more of a surprise that he made the World Cup for me. But anyway, Piedmont seems like a pretty big omission. I seem to remember him being in really good form for the Juarez. Could be mistaken. Herrera, he's also not made it, so the propping stocks get a bit younger. There's been a few guys retire. I think Ledesma retired. Who's the other prop? Figalo retired. So, yeah, there's Tukelet, I think, he also retired. But, yeah. Good news to see the Pumas squad. As I said, I'm kind of familiar with the core. I haven't seen these guys play for ages, which is a real pity. But the idea that we get to see these guys play soon is very, very good news. I think some of them are traveling to Australia today or tomorrow from Uruguay, and then the rest will join up a bit later from Europe. So yeah, we'll see how these guys go. Do let me know your thoughts on the squad. Where do you think they are looking strong? Any areas you think they're looking weak? And yeah, other guys you think maybe could have made it that didn't make it. Overall though, pretty good news story to brighten my Saturday morning to see this squad named. A very happy 2 cents man here in New Zealand. But anyway, as I said, you guys let me know your thoughts on the squad. If I butchered any of the names, do tell me how to pronounce them properly. I do like to try and get that right. The guys who I've not really gone into much detail about as well, do let me know about them, because as I said, there's a fair few young guys in the squad who I'm not all that familiar with as well. Happily take your guys' insights into that. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.